There's a fantasy people have about Hollywood, that once an actor finally makes it, everything changes forever. You land one hit series, one Oscar nomination, one breakout performance, one superhero movie, one massive cultural moment, and from then on, people assume you're set for life. But that's not actually how Hollywood works, because between the struggling unknown actor and the untouchable A-list celebrity, there's an enormous middle class almost nobody talks about. And honestly, they're the people keeping the entire industry alive. These are actors you absolutely recognize. You know their faces instantly. You've seen them in prestige dramas, Netflix thrillers, HBO limited series, crime procedurals, indie films, studio comedies, and award-winning projects. Some of them already starred in hit shows. Some of them carried major films. Some of them even won awards. And yet, many of them are still living project to project, still auditioning, still fighting for relevance, still trying to survive an industry with almost no stability. Because Hollywood doesn't really have permanent success anymore. It has momentum, and momentum expires fast. People outside the industry often think success is a straight line. You struggle, you get discovered, you become famous, you stay famous. That's the fantasy. But Hollywood is closer to a rotating marketplace. One year, you're everywhere. The next year, the industry becomes obsessed with somebody younger, newer, cheaper, trendier, or simply more viral. An actor can headline a successful network show for 5 seasons and still end up scrambling after it ends. A critically acclaimed performance might earn prestige, but not actual power. Even award wins don't guarantee permanence. There are Academy Award winners doing direct-to-streaming movies. There are Emmy winners guest starring in procedural dramas. There are former blockbuster leads doing voice acting, conventions, indie films, or recurring TV arcs just to maintain visibility. Not because they failed, because that's the system. Hollywood isn't built to create stability. It's built to constantly cycle attention. And attention is one of the most unstable currencies in existence. Part of the reason this middle class exists is because the old movie star system collapsed. There used to be actors who could open a film based purely on their name. Studios carefully built careers. Actors stayed attached to major projects for decades. But modern Hollywood shifted away from stars and toward intellectual property. Today, audiences show up for franchises, not necessarily actors. The brand matters more than the performer. A superhero logo matters more than who's inside the costume. A famous streaming title matters more than the cast list. And because of that, actors became more disposable. Even successful actors. You can lead a huge streaming series that trends worldwide for 2 weeks and still have no guarantee of long-term security afterward. In older Hollywood eras, a major television hit could sustain someone's career for years. Now, shows disappear into algorithmic graveyards almost immediately. Entire streaming series vanish from cultural memory within months. Actors are expected to constantly reinvent themselves before audiences forget they exist. And audiences forget fast now. Very fast. One of the biggest misconceptions about Hollywood is assuming recognition automatically equals wealth. People see a familiar face and assume that person must be rich. But the reality is usually far messier. There's a huge difference between being famous, being consistently employed, and being financially secure. An actor may appear successful publicly while privately dealing with long gaps between jobs. And during those gaps, the expenses don't stop. Managers, agents, publicists, lawyers, housing in expensive cities, travel, appearance maintenance, audition preparation, union requirements. The industry itself is expensive to survive inside. And unlike regular jobs, acting careers are wildly unpredictable. One good year can be followed by 2 terrible ones. One canceled show can derail momentum completely. A movie bombing can affect perception. An executive change can erase opportunities. A merger can kill projects overnight. Sometimes actors aren't even competing against talent anymore. They're competing against data, algorithms, social media engagement, global marketability, subscriber retention. That's part of why so many actors diversify now. Podcasts, voice work, producing, convention appearances, brand deals, teaching, independent projects. Not because they're irrelevant, because surviving modern entertainment almost requires multiple income streams. Streaming transformed Hollywood in ways audiences still don't fully understand. First, it looked like a golden age. More shows, more movies, more opportunities. And for a while, it genuinely did create work. But it also created instability. Actors now work in a system where content is produced at massive volume, consumed rapidly, and forgotten almost instantly. A network television series used to air weekly for months. Characters had time to become part of popular culture. Now entire seasons drop in one weekend. People binge 8 episodes and move on by Tuesday. That pace changed the lifespan of fame itself. Actors can headline globally viewed streaming hits and still struggle to convert that into lasting career leverage. And residuals changed too. Old television reruns used to create long-term financial support for actors. Streaming economics disrupted that model heavily, which is one of the major reasons the industry strikes became such a huge issue, because many actors realized the visibility looked much bigger than the actual financial sustainability. Millions of viewers no longer automatically equals long-term security. Not in the streaming era. Ironically, these middle-class actors are often the strongest performers in the industry. They're versatile, reliable, professional. They elevate projects quietly. They're the detective in the crime drama, the exhausted parent in the indie film, the political strategist in the prestige series, the supporting character everyone remembers more than the lead. Some actors become so skilled at surviving this middle tier that they build incredibly long careers without ever becoming true megastars. And honestly, that's an achievement in itself. Because longevity in Hollywood is brutally difficult. Especially now. The industry is obsessed with novelty, youth, momentum, virality. Remaining consistently employable for 20 or 30 years may actually be more impressive than brief superstardom. Because it requires adaptation. It requires emotional resilience. And it requires surviving rejection on a scale most people would psychologically collapse under. Imagine having your value reassessed constantly. By audiences, by executives, by critics, by algorithms, by casting directors, by social media. That's the reality for many professional actors, even successful ones. Part of why audiences misunderstand this is because Hollywood sells fantasy, not labor. The industry wants actors to appear glamorous, successful, and untouchable. Nobody markets instability. Nobody promotes career anxiety. So the public mostly sees red carpets, interviews, premieres, magazine covers, and curated social media. They don't see the uncertainty between jobs. They don't see actors waiting months for projects to be greenlit. They don't see pilots dying, shows getting canceled after one season, scripts collapsing during financing, or actors losing roles for reasons completely unrelated to talent. Maybe the studio suddenly wants someone younger. Maybe international markets prefer another actor. Maybe an executive changed. Maybe the chemistry shifted. Maybe the internet turned against someone for 2 weeks. Hollywood careers can pivot on bizarre circumstances. And because audiences mostly consume finished products, they rarely see the instability underneath the surface. Honestly, this isn't just about Hollywood. It reflects a larger truth about creative industries in general. Most artistic careers do not look like permanent upward trajectories. They fluctuate. There are seasons of visibility, seasons of obscurity, seasons of momentum, seasons of survival. And sometimes the people doing the most meaningful work are not the ones dominating headlines. They're the professionals quietly sustaining the craft year after year. Hollywood's middle class represents that reality perfectly. Actors who continue working despite instability, despite changing trends, despite shrinking attention spans, despite an industry that constantly reinvents itself. And honestly, that persistence deserves far more respect than it gets. The next time you recognize an actor and wonder, whatever happened to them? The answer is often, nothing happened. They're still there, still working, still auditioning, still adapting, still surviving one of the most unstable industries on Earth. Not every actor becomes a permanent global icon. But the people in the middle, the working actors, the recurring faces, the former leads, the critically acclaimed performers bouncing between projects. They are the real infrastructure of Hollywood. And without them, the entire machine falls apart.